Oh. Sorry, someone in the back of the Ruler Crest team? So yeah, my boy is getting remembered.
Yeah, well, I mean, his father was the leader of the Plants.
Yeah, but they didn't say of Patrick's Hall of Fame. They said of the Lunar Crest team.
Yeah.
Rouse team. They're remembering him for being on Rouse team. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny. Can't wait till I get to add a freedom onto the end of that. It gets longer and longer.
Yeah.
First thing we have comments. First up, we got David Butt from the Patreon. Return to the battlefield. About the speculation that there are a bunch of recaps because of a different director. It's actually the same director and head writer as the first Seed. The reason we're getting a lot of recap is because they had much less lead time into starting Destiny. While there was a year gap between the final episode of Seed and the first episode of Destiny, Seed was only developed as one 50-episode series. Destiny didn't enter full production until after Seed, and they likely had less pre-production and planning time when compared to Seed. Also, fun fact, the magazine Shin had High and Mighty Color written on it, and they performed the current opening theme.
Oh. Self-referential. I like it. I mean, the whole repeating past scene feels very much like filler, right? Oh, remember this? We're just going to go and repeat the same footage that we just did. So, you know.
I think you said something about being a different director. I think that's why they're bringing it up.
I think I did. And I thought because I read it, someone was like, oh, it's a different director then. Because they had a name for that director who was, like Repeat Joe or something, right? And I could have been wrong. I just read it somewhere and assumed that was the case. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I know there's a lot of shows. Yeah. So I know there's also a lot of shows that I've watched here on the channel where they do like rotate art directors and directors for episodes. When the one that comes to my mind is Heavenly Delusion, where I think maybe like 8 to 10 out of the 12 episodes were just a rotating art style or art director, storyboard, whatever, because they wanted to highlight certain people. Sometimes it was obvious, sometimes it wasn't. As for High and Mighty Color, I do remember that I only saw High and Mighty, and I thought it was like a reference to Shin himself, so...
Yeah, could be.
Alright, next up we got Fenrir756, also from the Patreon, also from the episode Return to the Battlefield. I love how I'm apparently becoming Theta's antithesis/rival in the comment section. No, you're not. Captain Hammer is my nemesis. My points from this episode. I don't believe I've ever brought up Caridad Yamato, but Theta is correct that the show never mentioned that she was Via Hibiki's sister, and therefore Kira's maternal aunt. The closest we got any connection between her and Kira and Kigali as babies was a brief still shot showing her holding the twins in the episode where Raul the Crest is philosophizing and reminiscing about the history of George Glenn and how the conflict between Naturals and coordinators began before we even knew they were related or had even seen Caridad Yamato.
It's very interesting because that's a Spanish name, Caridad, and it's like caring or careful, right? It's showing usually in the form of offering help to others, right? So it's also linked to nurses and nuns. So that's a very interesting first name, Spanish first name for the sister who clearly has a Japanese first name.
Could be an international family.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Also, could be the never mind. I was about to say something stupid.
Not
either
the
way,
last name though. Not the last name, which Yamato is because she married somebody.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, but I was gonna go with the wrong relation. That's why I was saying it was stupid. But it also, I'm vindicated here. I mean, we all know that you cheated. You looked it up on the wiki, but everyone else in the comments has been saying that this is true as well. We wouldn't know. Well, I wouldn't know that. because the show hasn't said that.
Yeah.
The Coordinator Special Forces team leader specifically tells the rest of the team to leave no trace of her death at the site. I think I don't use this right, but whatever. Which presumably would mean concealing the deaths of everyone else there too. How they would clean up the blood and the bodies doesn't seem like something they should have been able to accomplish easily with what they apparently had on hand, but their intent was to disappear without leaving any evidence of her death.
In which case, going on with rifle fire is much better than, say, I don't know, blowing the whole place up with mobile suits. But either way,
I don't know. I mean, that is Batman investigation mode. Literally, like, there's blood splatters all over the place, and there's bullet holes.
Yeah.
I wonder where Lacus went.
I mean, it's easier to get rid of the body, I guess. But if you just blow up the place, like, this place got attacked, like heavy artillery, shit, right? It doesn't look like an earthquake or something. Like, and suddenly a volcano appeared in the middle of the mansion.
It's one hell of a gas leak.
Yeah.
Kigali is a natural and not a coordinator. I know in the previous season there was some doubt as to that when she learned Kira was her brother, but we later learned that Dr. Hibiki only removed Kira and Via's womb and put him in the artificial womb to make him the ultimate coordinator, while Kigali was left to be born naturally. Kigali has never demonstrated any coordinator capabilities, and there has never been any indication that her genes were ever operated on. Also, given her mother's conflict with her father, I doubt she would let him do anything to Kigali after literally stealing Kira from her body.
Would she be even in a position to object? I mean, if he could do that the first time.
She's living in today's America.
Yeah.
Also, I thought you would argue more about the part that Kigali has never demonstrated coordinator capabilities. I thought that was going to be your point of argument, because we have. She's busted a nut.
Yeah. So, there's that.
I mean, there's nothing that says that a coordinator can't be born naturally.
That's usually how coordinators are born.
No, actually they're not.
Well, they have to be modified, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's nothing that says a coordinator can't be born. Literally, if you can modify the genome, that means that it already exists as it's possible.
A possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the randomness of all the genes, yeah.
So literally, she could be literally Jesus Yamato, if you wanted to look at it that way. But again, we have seen her demonstrate the coordinator ability. Maybe she hasn't just demonstrated
as often.
No, generic coordinator abilities. Like, she's not super fast, or she doesn't program at hyper speeds. She busted a nut, though, which is the predominant coordinator. Well, I guess maybe there's a different definition that we're not working with here. Not all coordinators bust nut, right?
But all those who bust nuts are coordinators.
Maybe not. Maybe that's the definition that Fenrir is working with here. Maybe that's something else.
That's the seed in Gundam seed.
Right. So maybe she's a seed, whatever the fuck that means, and not a coordinator.
Which means we're dealing with something different.
Again, it's the problem of sample size, right? Because all coordinators so far have had seed, not all coordinators, sorry, all seed people. I've got to figure out a new name for this. All seed people have been coordinators so far. So when another seed person shows up who we didn't think was a coordinator, it's like, oh, that must be wrong. Pick her up, put her in a coordinator box. But if she doesn't do anything else that all the other coordinators do, maybe the seed thing is a different category. The conversation that we had in Mobile Suit Gundam
about new types,
yeah, about new types being like a third faction and not, Earthnoid, Spacenoid thing. Because if that's the case that Fenrir is working on, then sure. But to our current understanding, with such a small sample size, anyone with a seed is a coordinator, because no natural person has seed ability. Kira's status as the ultimate coordinator refers to how he was successfully born from the artificial womb, and all the genetic enhancements his father intended to give him were successfully mapped on. Although it doesn't make scientific sense, in seed, the mother's body can somehow affect the genetic modifications made to a child that turns them into a coordinator in a way that results in desired traits/genes not properly manifesting in the child, i.e., the line from the flashback about the mother complaining her child's eyes were the wrong color. We did talk about that at length before.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I talked about it with you or I talked to... See, the problem is I don't remember if I brought this up during the movie or if I brought it up during the show. If I brought it up during the show, then it was I was talking to Justin. I don't remember if I brought it up during the movie because it would have happened so fast during the movie. Yeah. Also, it would have happened during the last movie, which I don't think we talked a lot about.
I mean, we did talk about the fact that it would have been best to have natural give birth to coordinators, and that's why also twins were preferred because it increased the chances.
I don't know about that. I remember that was a long part of my theory that possibly the way to get out of the war was to have coordinators and naturals born from the same womb, just so that they would grow an attachment at a young age to one another. So that it would be less likely to be racist if everybody was literally related to the person that they should, or not should be, but would otherwise be racist towards.
But in the end, there's also sibling rivalries as well.
Well, I mean, it would. Well, I don't know. That might grow, but I mean, I just mean instead of having I have a black friend, it's like I have a black brother.
Yeah.
I was raised in a biracial household, or that sort of thing. I don't know though. Obviously, there's elements of genetics into this that we are not experts on. Obviously, I would think that any current ongoing metabolic process can be interfered with. Obviously, if you're directly connected to your mother's body.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, one supposes that once the genes are more or less locked in, they should not. I mean, the problem is the mutation happens all the time. I hate to bring this up.
Yeah, literally, you bring up like
cancer.
Well, I wasn't going to bring up. Literally, I didn't think about cancer. I was thinking of God. What are those? Well, I guess cancer's the easiest one because I can't think of the ones I'm trying to think of. The diseases and everything that you have a possible chance of having that are genetically inherited, but they don't like come to you until later in life because gene sequences that are activated just don't happen.
Yeah.
But
there's that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, unless you're watching Seed as like a geneticist, not really questions.
Genesis are like, this is not. Okay, never mind.
It is never made clear where Seed comes from, but Erica Simmons' explanation seems to imply it might be the next phase of humanity's evolution as a species. So it is probably genetic to a certain extent, but it is. But that is never confirmed.
Oh, that's a minor spoiler, I guess.
Oh, just like last time, Fenrir.
Yeah.
So that comment that I didn't finish reading.
Yeah, because it's never confirmed. It's like, so we're going to spend 50 episodes waiting for an answer that's never going to come. Unless in the new series after that they do, but then,
no, it's not a new series. It's a movie after.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. There is Stargazer after this, which is like a short OVA thing. But then there's a movie after that. The name of Bogey 1 is not Phantom Pain, but Gertie Lou. Phantom Pain is the name of the unit that Neo is in charge of.
Yeah, that explains why they were talking about Phantom Pain aboard the ship, because it's a unit, not the ship.
The name of Kigali's mobile suit is Strike Rogue.
Okay, but she doesn't have it on these. Yeah.
No, actually, I think they've mentioned Rouge before. Also, I think it's in the opening title. So, also, if you remember my breakdown of the opening, I mentioned Kigali's walking towards the Rouge. Also, I believe they mentioned the Rouge in... I keep saying Rouge because I thought that's what they called it. They mentioned it in season 1.
Okay.
I think.
Oh, in the final battle, which...
That's the one. That is the one. So yeah, they do mention it in season 1.
Okay, so
hold on. Let me let you take that back real quick. In reverse.
Because I was thinking which was like, that's the reason why Alfred gets a new Gundam, because he sacrifices old one to stop.
And then she takes him back in hers.
Yeah. So there's that, of course. So again, no, this is wrong with him.
Yuna's cowardice comes from the fact that he did not try to bring Kigali with him when running away, but abandoned her so he could get to safety.
I agree.
I don't know.
First he cowers behind her, then he runs away, and he's like,
I've already explained my point of view on that whole situation.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying I don't know if it's cowardice or not. Literally, we all know who's operating that Gundam, and we all know what their relation is to Kigali. So I don't know if it's cowardice to leave her in front of her own brother.
No.
I think everyone knows who's in danger here, and it ain't her. So is it cowardice to leave her in a position of which she is in no danger?
No, if you still care for her, you still want to keep her with you, right? At least.
Well,
it's
that's what he's talking about when he's on the phone later.
Yeah, later. It's like, I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't even grab her by the hand or anything. I'm just going to run away and hope that this guy doesn't, pull.
This isn't Witch from Mercury.
Witch from Mercury,
Kidnapping Kigali doesn't actually have as much of an impact on Orb's politics as you imagine it will, because the Sirens already effectively had control of Orb's government, and if Kigali had gone through with the marriage, her position would not have been any stronger, and Yuno would have tried to convince/manipulate her into turning her over her position as chief representative to him, which would make the situation much worse.
I think we discussed that, and I do have a note about that as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I do too.
So
well, maybe not about what would have happened if the wedding had gone through, which is what this part is about, but I do have a whole thing about the kidnapping.
Yes, so do I.
And lastly, fun fact, Shin and Lunamaria's voice actors are married in real life.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, it's real fun that Lunamaria's hitting on Athrun all the time then.
Yeah, I do have a note about that too as well.
I think I do, but not the way you probably think.
Find out.
Well, that's the comments then. The board exists. No real changes have been made to the board, so see previous episode if concerned about board.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have notes, and I believe you have more, so that means you should probably go first.
Yeah, a total of 12 notes.
Well, one of the last two episodes was mostly combat, and as I joked to you before we started recording, I think a good percentage of it was also launch sequence, so...
Yeah. This is something I just came up with in my first note, starting chapter 15. It's not called chapters, but that's how I say it.
Phase, I believe.
Yeah, phases. The people commanding Orb's defenses are real idiots. They could have avoided losing those Masamunes, the mobile suits.
They didn't lose them.
Fighter. They got shot down. He
didn't. He blew their guns out of their hands and then flew away.
Yeah.
So they didn't lose them at all.
Well, they could have been damaged.
But Sentiment agreed with. It's just that you didn't.
Yeah. If they had simply warned off Arthur. Because
Is that all you have? Also, is that the fullness of your thought? Because mine literally starts the same way, so let me just do it and then we'll discuss.
Yeah.
I feel like Orb handled Athrun's approach in the dumbest way possible. I get scrambling the fighters, it's a zaft weapon, and despite what its pilot says, it could have unknown motivations. At the same time, no one is talking to Athrun. They actively ignore him and attack. On top of that, the pilots attacking him are the ones with the authorization to communicate with an enemy pilot, even with the Airspace Control Authority refuses to. All of this could have been avoided by a message informing him that he was approaching secure airspace and to turn back now. If he persisted, that's when you escalate. I'd argue that since we know he never would have attacked, that they could have just served as an armed escort to guide him into a forced landing, where Athrun could have then been taken captive by the state, which would have been the real win for Orb. Instead, they declare that Zaft and Orb are not at war, yet open fire on him.
I didn't include that, but that's also a thing. Oh yeah, we're gonna give you authorization to land here, and then you just by the way, we're
also would have the brand new Gundam in our possession as well.
Yeah. This was about a gift to the Earth Alliance, because I'm sure Juna would have just turned that in because Juna's a Earth Alliance sip.
So also you keep calling him Juna with a J.
Yeah, June is it Y? It's a Y.
Yeah, yes, but for all we know, could have been Yuna's new Gundam.
Yuna's, yeah.
I'm gonna go win her back.
Yeah, he's not gonna.
Now with the most powerful Gundam. Well, second most powerful.
I don't see him piloting Gundam because he's too much of a coward to even face any.
You say that. But he might get courage when in a Gundam.
I don't know if he knows how to pilot one, although apparently they're not that They're easy to learn, but hard to master. Kind
Well,
of machine.
Orb is the country that got the programming from Kira that allows
Mhm.
naturals to operate Gundams. Anyway,
Mhm.
first, same thought.
Yeah. I guess I'll go to my second then. And here's where I think we might both agree and disagree, because I split the difference. Kira does have a point that Orb would be responsible for any actions of the Alliance and likely would be called to join them in actions, especially if they keep taking casualties at the rates they have so far. But so does Kigali, at least in the short term. To prevent Orb destruction and occupation a second time, her choice was a stark one. Bend the knee now or be subjugated later. Her problem is that she had no plan B, either diplomatically or militarily.
Once again, I feel like I need to read my next note. You split the difference, I did not, but it's still going to be generally my response to your note. Kira is still a dumbass. We know that Kigali wasn't in a good position in regards to Yuna, but from Kigali's own words, this is what she wanted to happen in order to accomplish whatever she thought it would accomplish. Consent is king. Doing something just because you think someone actually wants it, despite what they say, is just fucked up. Because it's Kira doing it, we are just supposed to be fine with the concept of him kidnapping a world leader and talking down to them about what they think is right. Instead of Kigali having a rational debate about the future of Orb, a la that bending the knee conversation we had before, versus taking the morally right but more dangerous path, like she almost had with the Sirens before, we instead get Kira just telling her she's wrong and taking any agency she has away from her. This wasn't a rescue. This was a character assassination.
I have a follow-up, and my next note is about that as well.
I think we're going to do this rolling thing again.
Yeah. But, okay, I think also Kira is right. He's wrong in that he overrode his... in many ways, he's no different than Yuna, right? So overrode her free will. But at the same time, she was already being manipulated, so... She's already in a very weak...
It's not good to kidnap somebody because you believe they're being manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are ways to try and save somebody from that position, but once again, you've removed her agency from her, especially when she thinks that she is in control of her actions. Plus, all you're doing is telling her she's wrong. Sorry, that's a different note of mine. I'll get into that later.
Yeah. But I also feel like, considering the events that happened right before it, right, that they came under attack and was an attempt to assassinate mostly Lacus, but all of them, right, that he had to act. And it's like, we got to go. If we leave this behind, it's going to be, I'm not going to leave my sister behind. So I understand his motivations, even if he was doing the right thing. He was doing the wrong thing for the right reasons.
That's where I disagree with you. I think he was doing the wrong thing. Wait, sorry, say yours again.
He was doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. And you believe he was doing the wrong thing, period.
I don't... Here's the thing, is the definition of what the right reasons are.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't seem like he didn't... It doesn't seem like he rescued her because he thought she was in danger. He rescued her because he thought she was doing a bad job as the leader of Orb, and then the whole Atherin thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, oh, I was worried, we got attacked, I thought you might be in danger. He says, what would Orb do? Is it fine for you to run this way? By the way, Atherin, it wasn't... Yeah. The right reason would have been, I thought your life was in danger. That's why I kidnapped you. Bad thing, good reason. He did a bad thing for bad reasons. You're the world leader, but I know more than you.
Yeah. Which leads me to the next note. I feel the writers need to give Kigali a third way to operate, even in support of others, or a way to retake Orb from Yuna and his father, or else her character was wasted. In other words...
Again, character assassination is what I said.
Yeah.
Well, again, though, my point is that Kira was a character assassination. He took away her agency. He turned her into damsel in distress. Literally, she's wearing a dress that she hates, as we know from season 1, and is forced to be rescued against her will. That's the. I think Kira has done more damage to Kigali's persona than Yuna has.
I think both of them are to blame.
No. Yuna is the threat. Yuna is the villain. Yuna is the one that you're supposed to suspect is the one ruining Kigali, because that's the person Kigali is supposed to rise up against and defeat.
Yeah.
Kira is her ally. He's not the one who is supposed to remove her agency and turn her into the thing that Yuna is turning her into.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do with that, because it's pretty iffy right now.
All right, well, back to me assaulting Kira. Kira's argument is as dumb as his actions. So it doesn't matter what happens to other countries as long as this one doesn't burn. Kigali isn't the representative of other countries. She's the representative of Orb. Her chief concern has to be that of her people. In the realm of international politics, yes, you have to be concerned with the effects of other countries' policies will have on yours. But at the end of the day, the leader of a country's primary concern should be the well-being of the people before those of other countries. Future me, put in a gif of Omni-Man on the screen doing the think mark gif.
Yeah.
In that case, would it be fine for Orb to burn the plants or some other country as long as it stays safe? Once again, dumb argument. The first one implied passiveness towards the events of the world, which really doesn't make sense, as Orb was joining the global alliance of countries. Even if under duress, that would still place them in a unified stance that would be less likely to see them in a threatened position from other Earth countries. Now, the argument turns towards what would Orb do to others to secure itself, where the answer should clearly be whatever it takes to secure the safety of its citizens. The realest part of the last battle from last season was when Azrael refused to retreat when Patrick fired the superweapon, arguing that if they lost the fight there, then they would always be under the threat of destruction by that thing. In that sense, destroying the source of a threat to his people was the required thing to do, even outside that overt racism that was the root of his motivations. Kira's blanket statement of, would Orb destroy someone else to save itself, attempts to eliminate any ability to argue against itself, forgetting that these situations exist and that the world isn't just black and white. The answer is yes. Orb has a duty to defend itself and its citizens from any threat presented. The lack of will or ability would call into question its ability to even be a nation in the first place.
Yes, but as I've argued before, there's always limits. There's always a limit between self-defense and aggressive offense, right? Remember that the first move of the Earth Alliance was kill everybody in the plants, right? Obliterate them. It's not an escalation. And they're getting into that alliance, which means ostensibly the plan that the alliance wants to, or the Federation in this case, it's not the alliance. You're back to the Federation. It's always been.
I think they're a Federation now.
Yeah,
they were alliance in the first season. Now they're a Federation. My argument isn't towards what is actually happening. I'm arguing out the stupid logic of Kira, which is to say, should the Orb burn plants or some other country to keep itself safe? And I'm answering yes. Because he puts on there at the end, to keep itself safe. Yes. I don't run the world. I run Orb. I keep Orb safe.
But is it something... I think the wording is wrong.
It's what Kira says. I'm again arguing the stupidity of Kira, not of the actual situation.
Yeah, because I think the reason is like, Kira should have said, by allying with joining the alliance, because joining the alliance, you're putting in a situation where you have to burn another country.
See, I figured the argument that you would make would be pulling into the episode right after this, where we see the alliance is now, the Federation is now using local populations and forced labor camps. Yeah. That is the actual argument against this, but it's not an argument that Kira himself proposes. He says, he'd say, what do you do if they put Orb citizens into forced labor camps because you joined this? He didn't say that. He says, will you hurt other people to protect Orb citizens? And again, the answer is still yes. My duty is to Orb citizens, not to anybody else. Again, I just don't follow through on... Well, I follow through. I understand that the show is supposed to be about idealism and morality in the face of realism. Again, the most real fucking thing in the show is the overt racism that's constantly being thrown in our faces for the reasoning for the behind the war. But the idea that they don't face the problems with realistic questioning. Again, the Siren, the idea that we have to bend the knee for the safety of our citizens is a very real point of view. The way he's presented, right, isn't one of I'm manipulating for power, though he may be. It is, this will save our people. Because, yeah, Shin's whole argument, right? If her dad had bent the knee, that fight wouldn't have happened. Shin's family would still be alive. It is what is the morally right thing to do versus what is the... Well, see, the problem is I don't know how to phrase this.
The right thing to do versus the realistic thing to do? Or
Well, no, I was saying what the morally right thing to do is versus what you actually should do.
I mean, one would argue that the moral thing to do is the one thing that you should do, but you have to compromise your morals. I mean,
I would make the argument that
compromise position versus the moral position.
I would not argue that the morally right thing to do is always the right thing to do. When the morally right thing to do put Shin into the position he's in today. Is that make it the right thing to do? I would argue no. Shin would agree with me. The right thing to do would be to protect your citizens against the threat of death.
And yet, I have a note about what he did later on in the second episode.
I mean, I feel maybe I'm circling the drain on this thought, so let's keep going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This one is maybe off the cuff, but I wrote it because it came to mind. The writers really want to put as many romantic roadblocks between Arthur and Cagali as possible. First, the attempted marriage to Yuna, plus the appearance of Mir, who has to remind him of his own engagement to Lacus. And now with the panty-flashing Luna Maria showing an infatuation with him from the first time she recognized him. I wouldn't blame him for falling, or nearly so, into the cockpit with any of them.
So, my next thought is not as full as that one, but it does involve literally something you said here. I think Luna Maria is going to die. They are clearly painting her as a romantic interest for Athrun, and neither of us has suspected that Athrun would ever wind up with her, but I guess you've been doing it off-screen. You're thinking that they might be a thing. And she's in, sometimes I write words, I don't know what they mean.
In a Saku, or what?
No, here. What do you think I meant?
Eithering, nethering,
she's in neithering, and she's in neithering and ending, or she's in neither an ending or opening scene with anyone other than her sister. She's getting some obtuse death flags in my eyes.
Yeah, I also suspected she could get, what was her name? Well, she got killed later on, but...
Well, remember that I talked about in the opening breakdown that I did that she's walking away from her sister in the same fashion that Bad Girl and Marius did in near the end of the first season, and then Bad Girl winds up dead. So,
but I think she might end up dead, but before she does that, she probably joins a team that is opposing the Minerva. I think that's what's going to happen.
Oh, I don't see that at all. I think it's going to be, again, it's very obtuse.
That's what happened.
So I'm thinking it's just going to be a random thing that happens.
It happened with Marius and what's her name, and Gladys, which is the name of the captain.
What?
No, not Gladys. No, Marius and what's her name? Bad Girl.
Yeah, that was a whole thing. I don't see that happening. This feels just more like she's going to be out there. They're going to get into a fight, and she just dies. It's just going to be a thing. I don't see this. We had too many characters to give all of them this really in-depth. Like, Nicole just died out of nowhere. She could get a Nicole death.
Yeah. But anyway, what I'm saying about romantic is not necessarily... I said I wouldn't blame him. But the fact that in that conversation that he's having with Luna Maria, sort of informing him of what she knows, it's like, well, there are rumors, but she got married, but then she got kidnapped, but we don't really know, right? we already see we've seen in Atherin's expression as like he's questioning Kigali's commitment to the relationship.
No, he
I
just
think
seems
that's what
upset.
Well, upset, but it's like, oh, and also he gave her the ring, and now
I don't think,
know.
again, I don't see it as him questioning the commitment towards the relationship. I just like shocked. Like, what's happening? This is the first I'm hearing of any of this. It's not I don't think he's had like when they're going to the cockpit and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. What are you talking about? I think those are his first moments to even think about what the hell is going on. Because the look on his face is still just, to me, what?
Shock.
What are you saying?
Yeah. But clearly, I mean, I do know, and this is not something I throw in, that Durandal definitely made a point to make sure that Atherin and Mir met at a time where he was in the plants and Kigali was somewhere else.
Well, remember, Mir and Atherin met haphazardly before that. He only introduces her to her later.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that haphazard. It just
she is literally off on a thing and then turns and spots him. Like, she had ran off to do her own thing and then turns and spots him. So unless you're saying that Durandal is orchestrating her loopy, flightless nature to have her wander off into a place, I don't think so.
She had security with her.
No, she ran off from her security, remember?
To go to him.
No, to wander off to where she was, to then see him.
But I think
she's like 2 steps removed from wherever Durandal thought the security guys would be.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. So what's your next point?
Funny translation note. In the subtitles, Luna Maria says that Kigali got kidnapped either before or after the wedding ceremony, but in English she says that in the middle of the wedding ceremony. I feel like those two have completely different connotations. Like, if she got kidnapped after, then they got married. If she got kidnapped before or in the middle of, then she didn't get married. So literally the different words that they're choosing to use have different meanings here. Another note is that Neo, at the end of the same episode in the subtitles, says little kitten. In English, he says little puppy.
I think I would actually go with the subtitles when it comes to Luna Maria, because the whole conversation, at least with the subtitles, is that she's not really clear what's going on. Where in the translation, it makes it clear, I know what happened. She got kidnapped,
Like I said, in the middle of implies in the middle of. Before or after means she's either married or she's not married.
Yeah, but she doesn't. I'm saying that Luna Maria doesn't really know.
No, I'm just saying the difference between these two things.
Yeah.
She got kidnapped before or in the middle of implies that she didn't get married. Getting kidnapped after implies that she got married and she got kidnapped after. So in the subtitle saying she got kidnapped before or after, I'm not sure. And then the translator or the dub person deciding to split the difference and say in the middle.
Yeah. So I think it's, but again, if she says in the middle, it's like
in English.
A definite statement. In English, a definite statement. This is what happened. If she says either before or after, it's like, well, I don't really know. But
it also depends on your definition of in the middle. She could have meant in the middle as during, in the middle of, not in the, during can also mean she said I do. Right?
At any point where the ceremony was happening, boom.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking very literally here. Because one says either before or after, which implies she's either married or not. In the middle, if you mean it as during, could also mean at any point during the ceremony. Like, she could have said, like, at the very end is also still during.
So my next note. And this goes to the talk we had about faith and who has what authority. Did Atherin have the authority to make Minerva's captain a member of Faith, or was this on orders of Durandal?
It was on the orders from Durandal.
Yeah, I was going to say that because I rewatched it. Yes, I just didn't change my note.
Just making sure.
Yeah, we already know that she and Durandal have a physical, intimate relationship, at least at that level. So did he mean to keep her membership a secret? Which I know they're wearing a badge, which I say I doubt it since the symbol is pretty obvious.
Also, Atherin, Atherin. Arthur is in the room.
Yeah. Or was it meant to keep her on a tighter leash than most, as Faith responds directly to the Defense Council and, by extension, Durandal himself?
Well, technically, they're two different things.
Yeah.
He's on the Defense Council. but he
But it's
isn't
also
the entirety of the Defense Council.
Yeah, but he also clearly is in a, shall we say, directing position. Like people turn to him like he has a final word, as it's shown to have.
Oh yeah, no, he's like the representative.
Yeah.
Primus inter pares always comes to mind first among equals, and he is the chief representative of the council. So he definitely has like presidential power.
And we're talking about time of war, so it depends on what things he leads to the council to. Because this would be a direct military order, like do this. That might seem like a direct executive ability rather than, oh, wait, I want you to do this, but first, let me get the council to see if they're going to agree and give you the order, right? Which, to me, I think, ironically, even though Durando presented to Arthur the idea of faith as being giving him freedom to operate, it's actually the opposite of that.
I'm sure he was in Faith before.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was in Faith in season 1, I mean.
Yeah, but...
No, he was in Faith between seasons. This is something we talked about before we heard Faith actually said in the show. There was a thing that we discussed about him being a member of Faith between seasons or something.
No, because when he goes to Durando's office, he presents it like, I want you to... The way Durando presents it is, this is for you to give you your freedom.
No, I'm talking about, remember that he left Zaft.
Zaft altogether.
He left Zaft altogether at some point, so he could have been a member of Faith before, and now is being re-presented with it.
Yeah.
Again, we discussed the whole Faith thing before Faith actually showed up in the show, because something we were doing or something we were talking about had Faith in it. I don't remember what it is anymore.
Who was given the orders, which I go to later on in the notes. Because we were talking about whether, Captain Gladys, who is a superior officer, technically speaking, should just be able to give orders to Athron straight up. But the show makes it clear that she was asking him to do things as opposed to...
Well, yeah, like, because she's no longer outranks him.
Yeah.
As we discussed during the episode. Sorry, from here on out, also, my notes don't become serious anymore.
Okay, go ahead.
I wonder what the speed of the Minerva is. Like, going from Carpentera base to Gibraltar base in the real world, a normal airliner would take about 31 hours. A hypersonic jet could get you there in about 4 hours, the same as a space plane could. Conceivably, the Minerva should be able to do exactly the same maneuvers as a space plane could, reaching outer atmosphere and descending again to allow the Earth's rotation to do most of the heavy lifting, but for some reason, it chooses to act like a boat and sail its way there.
No, also the fact that she went out with a submarine escort, so...
Right, but they also sailed from Orb to Carpentera. Yeah. They're choosing to be a boat, even though if it's really important, this mission that they're on, they could get there in like 4 hours or faster.
Now I'll go to Durando, which I already mentioned him. It seems Durando's strategy, and I mentioned this briefly during watching it, is to divide and conquer by supporting nations on Earth that stand against the Atlantic Alliance, in this case. Atlantic Federation. Keep mixing the two. In that way, he can be seen as someone who is not merely a defender of coordinators and the plants, but of all mankind. The symbolism of giving Arthur a machine named Savior and teaming him up with the most elite force he has available would add to the symbolism of his actions. I wouldn't be surprised that he will, at some point, call for the overthrow of the Atlantic Alliance by its member states, with the help of SAF forces, of course. It would fit what I believe is his messianic tendencies as savior of mankind.
I mean, I disagree with a lot of your stuff that you're saying, but I don't disagree with what you're anticipating happening. I guess I'm disagreeing with your read on motivation, but not the events that you're seeing happening. I do see what you're saying happening, because it seems to be the right play. I just don't believe that Durandal has that motivation.
Oh, seeing himself as savior of humanity?
Yeah, the whole messianic thing that you keep pulling out. I don't see that. I mean, I see the plan, and the plan seems to be working that way towards the events that you described, not towards, I'm going to be the new Jesus. Take a seat, Kira.
What's your next note?
So 2 episodes ago, minute 14, Talia says their mission is to go to Gibraltar and provide backup to the forces engaged in a battle to capture the Suez. Then a minute and a half later, she says their objective will only be self-defense and that the plants have no intention of acquiring territory. I'm sorry to say, but the canal is territory. Owning it is what you are after. You have countermanding orders.
Yeah, which is what goes to my next.
Look at a minute and a half apart, by the way.
Yeah. Also calling it self-defense when SAF is clearly expanding their sphere of influence over key areas of the Earth seems like empty sophistry. The Suez Canal, for example. Something that the military leadership of SAF had already pointed out, right? That sending more forces to protect their thing would put them in direct combat with the forces over there. So he already was playing with the idea of self-defense a little too closely.
Well, it's more direct because you're referencing the argument made, like, I don't know, 4 episodes back. The people that were in that chamber. Yeah. This is very literally, hey, go capture that. By the way, we're not here to take territory. So, I mean, it goes not even against the whole self-defense is a horrible play to be making here. It's your orders don't make sense. Yeah.
We're going to, well, I mean, one could argue
go capture that flag, but don't touch that flag. Like, what?
Yeah. It's offense is the best defense, but don't call it offense.
All right, well, I have my final note, which is literally just reading stuff off of a screen.
Yeah.
So the zoom in on Atherin's record, name, Atherinzala, ID 285002, date of birth 29/10/55, means he's 17 years old. Sex male, blood type O, color of eyes green, birthplace December, date of enrollment 2002-70, so the year of the first season. Present belonging, fast acting integrate tactical headquarters, Faith. Present whereabouts LHM-BB01 Minerva. Interesting note though, the scrolling text beneath that readout, which is very blurry, mentions an Earth-Moon war. The problem is that it also seems to be an English word salad with lines like, with exceptional sensitivity, he had, so where did I go here? With exceptional sensitivity, he had of his essential deviancy, being the most legible of the lines, by the way.
Yeah.
The image also indicates that he graduated with Durka, Yazik, Nicole, what I think might be Olor and Miguel, and some orange-haired person I don't recognize, but I swear seems really familiar.
Again, that's a note that I didn't read, so that seems nothing to say about it, really.
Well, again, it's when, what's her name? Lunameria's sister. I keep forgetting her name. We get a lot of Lunamaria. Well, very little of her sister. Even though she's the one read the 2 minutes of launch from last episode is all her voice. She's the one looking at it, and again, it's the picture of people from season 1. Even Olor and Miguel are from like episode 1. They're the first people. Well, technically, I guess they die around episode 2 or 3. The orange-haired person, I swear they look very familiar, and I can't remember why.
There's an orange hair.
Not him. Oh. He's got a very swoosh. You're talking like one of the mechanics on the Minerva. This guy has like that hair color, but the whole head.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't place him either.
Well, I'm now going to go into chapter 16. Phase
now
16.
That I'm done, the rest of your notes.
Yeah, struggle in the Indian Ocean. Does Stella have a crush on Neo? And is Neo exploiting that control? And I put it in questions because, yes, we see her like twice in the episode go like, Neo! And literally when Neo shows up, she rushes to him.
We already joked about them going in for a kiss, but I don't think so. I don't think it's a romantic thing. I think it's a, an infatuation, maybe? Maybe she's like...
I think it could be one-sided, right? Because the way she behaves, she's clearly mentally unstable.
I feel like he treats them as kids, because we saw them in pods, and he's like watching over them. But we also got like a scene of him sitting in a chair and just floating around him too.
Yeah.
So I think it's like more like a father thing, but not to say not, but maybe a Lolita thing. Because I don't think it's a romantic thing, but if it is, Lolita is certainly the thing coming to my head.
Yeah. Now, another question, you may have an answer to this. Why can't the cloaking device work in the ocean? Is it because it's not set to cloak?
I'd imagine displacement. Displacement would give it away. Also, it's a outer shell sort of thing, so the water pressing against it would probably be an energy drain, and it already has like a 5 to 15 minute. I can't remember the name of the Gundam that had it. The Gundam that had it had a very specific time frame. I'm assuming that's going to be like the heat on the old Gundam drained its power. That this one probably water would be a power drain against it. It's either that or displacement would be my example.
But the thing is, was that Gundam the one that had the independent nuclear reactor, or the one that had to also? It basically could be that it drains the battery.
It's one of the original Gundams that they stole from Heliopolis.
Yeah,
but it's also it's the test model of the what do they call it? Cowderoid
something like that
cloak thing. Yeah,
I call it. But I would say that if a ship, especially one that is sort of just there, right?
Still sitting in water.
Sitting in water.
It's not cloaking the dip in the water and everything. So I don't know. Also, the fact I don't know what we're using to detect shit in normal space and everything. But the fact that sonar might work on a level that it's not cloaking against, possibly.
Yeah. My next note. It is made clear again that while Captain Gladys and Arthur are both members of Faith, Arthur is not under Gladys' command. Arthur's command over the mobile suits on the Minerva only happens because the captain gave him that authority in the moment.
Actually, she asked him to.
Asked him to do it, and he accepts. But
it's not that she gave him authority. He could have taken that authority. She asks him to. When she asks him, what are you going to do in this situation? He says, well, I'm a member of the ship. I'm going to launch too. She says, oh, thank you. That's good. By the way, can you take control of the forces while you're out there? You have the authority to do so. I'm just asking you to act on said authority.
Such ad hoc command structures have a tendency to create problems for all involved, as it violates the principles of both unity of command and the overall chain of command, right? Because you essentially have two people who technically have the same level of authority because they're members of Faith, and also they're not part of the same command structure. They're kind of, because they directly respond to the Defense Council, and by extension, I say Durandal, right? So they're working fine right now, but what happens in the future when Arthur wants to do a thing and she wants to do another thing? It's like, we have to do this. Yeah.
He'll leave because she has responsibility over the ship. The ship is assigned to her under a different command, whereas Athrun doesn't have that authority over the ship to begin with. He could demand that the ship does something, but that she already has authority as commander of the ship and a Faith officer. So I would assume the authority would go to her in that matter, in which case he would launch off in the Savior to do whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah, he has full authority to leave and come and go if he likes.
Yeah, but then that goes into the point of... See, do I have a comment about that?
I would argue that the problem would come into play if he started trying to, requisition people. Because he would have the authority to requisition whatever, zaft officer he wants to do whatever he needs.
Problem. You still have a problem because if the ship needs him to be there because they need the extra
my argument is that he can't argue that he can command the ship to do whatever he wants, but the people aren't the property.
Yeah.
Right? She has control over the property of Zaft, and that the same way that I don't think that she could order somebody to get into the Savior and fly it away. Yeah. The Savior is property of Zaft that was given to the authority of Athrun. So the same way that the Minerva is property of Zaft that was given to the authority of Talia. I think the people, though, are still, servile is the word coming in my head. Servile towards Zaft, which means that he has the authority to command anybody in Zaft to do as he's required of them, but because they're not pieces of the Minerva.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the talk. We talk about Shin's action and the slapping on the face and all that. These last two notes are about that. I'm with Arthur. Had he and Shin have worked together, I skipped that verb. Together as a unit, they could have defeated at least one of the stolen Gundams. However, I'm also in the belief that the base, which was built with slave labor, that wings, with slave labor, and whose soldiers murdered escaping civilians in front of Shin, needed to be destroyed. Because that's really when Arthur is shouting at him, "Oh, they're defenseless. You shouldn't shoot them." I was like, "Fuck this shit."
It's
These
the
guys they haven't surrendered.
It's
So
the
if they
Amuro
surrendered,
episode
yeah,
from
yeah, but
early
they didn't
Mobile Suit
surrender,
Gundam.
right? It's not like they surrendered. This material, like he's destroying,
Well, they weren't
hangars and stuff
defenseless.
like
They
that.
were defenseless when
Yeah.
the point is referred, because
Yeah.
he's already destroyed the defenses. They
Mhm.
already destroyed all 30 of whatever the wing things were called that they sent out to do the attack before. Gaia has already left. So literally there's nothing left.
Yeah,
He's essentially attacking them with a super weapon.
The base could still be reoccupied in the future. So
Yeah,
it's
so
a valuable
maybe
target.
you're arguing that he should continue to destroy a base that's still filled with people instead of, I don't know, rescuing those people that he did at the end, or I don't know, following the orders of his direct commander.
I think it's still what a valuable.
No, the whole thing was fucked. He did not follow the commands. See, I almost wrote a whole note about how Shin respected the chain of command, given how he acted like the beginning when he realizes that Athrun is a member of Faith, and that he somewhat seems to respect Athrun as like the only person who like did anything in the previous war. But then this didn't even come to my head when I decided not to write anything about it, because I thought this thought doesn't go anywhere. But yeah, no, I mean, I was arguing in the moment last episode that was kind of fucked what Shin did, because he should have followed the direct chain of command. He ran off. He could have gotten his own team members killed by being out of position when they needed him.
That I do agree.
Yeah.
So the base itself. No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, watching the Earth Federation people gun down civilians, not great. At the same time, how many other places do you think that's happening on that base that we're not seeing because there's no one there to see it? Sure, he saved like 5 people from getting gunned down. Your guys are still probably dying out there in the ocean. Arguably, he could have been there to stop the sub from getting sunk if he had been in the right place at the right time, which he would have been had he not been fucking off on his own. Like Catherine says, war is not the place to go play hero.
But if you follow your ideals and morals, that's exactly.
Yeah, and if you're bright, you let people desert from your ship willy-nilly too. Like, it doesn't. At what point do we just stop being a military? Let's all hang out in the 10th forward, eat some chocolate sundae.
Yeah. Anyway, my final note: Shin's actions, whether he intended them or not, do serve as propaganda tool for Zaft and the plans if Durandal is playing the Liberator card in the struggle against the Atlantic Federation. In other words, you can point to the footage because he clearly saw over the camera what was going. It's like, oh, look, these motherfuckers are killing. They have slave labor and they're killing the people. Like, you might say whatever you want about Zaft, but at least we don't go around gunning people like this. At least this time, right?
I don't know. I did ask before, like near the very beginning of Destiny, what happened to the naturals that evacuated to Zaft positions from Orb. The same question I asked about what happened to coordinators that evacuated to Federation places.
There had been a question about that, and it was known that the plant and Zaft just either turned them away and they had to die in space, or they put them in prison or kill all of them. And the Earth Alliance knew that. They would have said, by the way, look at the massacre that the coordinators did against our people.
I don't know. I don't know that that's
right?
true. I don't know that that's true because of this. We're just seeing this for the first time.
So
how long has this been going on? You're going to say this is the first time this has happened?
No, but
it's going to be the first time that Zaft is going to be seeing it. Zaft, which is, by the way, orbital fucking stations all over the place, can see the entire fucking Earth. Spy satellites today can see that.
You don't have satellites in every little corner of the Earth.
They literally do, kind of, because they're monitoring all the space debris around the Earth, which means that they need like all points to be covered.
Yeah, but not like looking down like, oh, that guy's getting.
No, they're all actually weather satellites. As Zaft is real interested in Earth weather.
Yeah, we're looking at that guy at the beach getting lucky. Yeah, that guy or two guys, whoever happens.
I'm just saying that if this is the first time Zaft is seeing this happening, then who the fuck knows what anybody knows about anything?
Yeah, but still has a propaganda value. I think that's the point. Right? if SAF is, and particularly the plants and the council wants to put themselves as, oh, we're just here to help. Right?
Could be a double-edged sword, though. Do you remember? We're not taking territory, so why are you attacking that base?
But you can argue that our intention was not to take territory. Well, we saw these horrible things. Remember that part of the briefing was that there was a country that was declaring independence from the alliance, and that the alliance already was Western Eurasia was already being abused basically by the alliance, meaning that again, if Durando's playing the savior of humanity card, which I think that's what.
So what you're saying is that Zaft has interfered with an internal conflict.
Yes.
Of which it had no point, especially when literally we declared war against them.
Well, it makes sense.
Also, who you're propaganding to?
Well, both the coordinate. Remember,
there's a worry in the propaganding. The coordinates are propaganding towards the racist people who literally just want them to die.
No, I think yes, actually yes, because that's how you split. What they're trying to do is it's divide and conquer, right?
I already said that.
You're assuming that everybody on Earth wants to kill.
Okay, now I'm interrupting because literally, yes, I brought up that point before that every time that was the difference that I've said between Zaft and Earth is that every time we've seen people on Earth, they have been chanting the Blue Cosmos motto to literally kill the coordinators. Zaft is the only side that we've seen people being like anti-war sentiment. Let's not fight them anymore. So, the entire position is we've only seen racists on Earth.
But we're also being told that there's nations that don't want to follow the alliance, meaning that there has to be some popular support for those countries otherwise. And why would then the alliance have to suppress this country if they're...
Because they're the neutrals. They don't want anything to do with anything.
Exactly.
We heard about them back in orbit originally. It doesn't mean that what's good propaganda, the neutrals are still neutral.
Well, they're not if they're being destroyed by they got caught up in the... You want them to move away from neutrality in supporting of you, right? Again, divide and conquer. It's like,
I don't know. I feel like it's more of a, whatever you call one of those scale things, that you're going to push them back towards neutrality, not back into fighting again towards you.
Even if you make them neutral, that's something that you might be taking them resources and effort away from...
Conversely, though, you've also got to stay and support them, which is wasted resources from you to ensure that the Federation doesn't come back to then retake those resources, which means that you've got to stay there, you got to police, you got to do all this shit.
Yeah, which means that that's more of self-defense. Oh, we came to help these people because they were in dire situation, and now we're getting attacked by...
But my point is that if the Federation has no plans against them anymore, then the Federation is effectively making you waste your resources to defend a target that they have no plans for.
But you're also tying Federation resources on Earth, then it might be used against you in space.
You're not really tying... That's what I'm saying. You're not tying anything up. If they trick you into... Say they never had any plans for Scandinavia. That's one of the neutral territories, by the way. Say they never had any plans for Scandinavia, but they bring Scandinavia in. Because we haven't been shown that they have any resources that are needed by the Federation. But they take Scandinavia in. Then you, as Zaft, retake Scandinavia. You're free Scandinavia, fine. Ooh, now you're protecting Scandinavia. Turns out Federation never had any plans for Scandinavia. They've just made you waste precious resources protecting Scandinavia from what they think might be the Federation coming to retake it.
Yeah,
they're not tying up Federation resources anymore. They're just making you tie up yours.
Yeah, but already the Federation has made aggressive moves against them, so they already have plans for them.
Actually, we haven't seen them take any aggressive moves towards Scandinavia.
Oh,
Orb is the one that we've seen them take, but the threat might be there. But that doesn't imply...
No, the debriefing wasn't Scandinavia. Simply say West Eurasia. They say a nation in West Eurasia.
No, I'm talking... You're talking about like last 2 episodes. I'm talking about... God, I don't remember, like 5, 7... It was during one of Lord Gibbral's news things.
Yeah,
they're talking about all the independent nations, and one of them was Scandinavia, Kingdom of Scandinavia. So I'm not talking about the last 2 episodes where they're talking about Eurasia in general and their plans for the Suez Canal. I'm just talking about as an example, one of the independent nations that they referenced.
Yeah, but again, I think they're not. If
they're working towards a unified Earth.
Exactly, but not everybody is on board with a unified Earth. So, if what Durandal wants to do is divide and conquer, he wants those people on his side, or at least stay neutral. So, if more nations, with the help of zaft, can either protect their neutrality or, just break off, then the alliance has to devote more resources to keep the nations they already have in line, because there's no assumption that people might not turn against them, even if they don't like coordinators. There's one thing, I hate coordinators, fine. Yeah, but these guys are also oppressing, right? So the enemy of my enemy is my friend until I can do something about it, right? Just like Orb side with the alliance because they think they have to do that because of the threat of the alliance, and they don't. And Yuna, is also basically saying,
until I don't see it, I don't agree.
I think it's a possibility.
I mean, I agree with your plans Durandal has, except for this element of it, because I don't see it happening. I guess there's also an element of the show is kind of dumbing down a bit. I feel like this season's a bit dumber than the first season. Like, the political elements aren't. To be fair, I guess halfway through is when we start seeing the elements of, in groups internally squabbling amongst each other, like the element of the Atlantic Alliance luring in Eurasian forces to
the base.
Yeah, Josh A. I'm going to always say Josh A. because for some reason I can't remember a United States state. So,
Alaska,
to Alaska base, while their forces are down in Panama, safe and sound, so that everyone else can sacrifice to make the Atlantic Alliance that much more powerful. Although I guess early on, back at Artemis, that was a Eurasian Federation place where they were trying to steal the schematics for the Gundam.
Yeah,
because they even asked Kira, "Could you make a blueprint for a Gundam that could fight other Gundams?" So even back then, the Eurasian Federation was planning on an internal battle where they might need a Gundam that can fight the other Gundams.
Yeah, but those are my notes.
All right, I guess all that said, there's nothing left to do but to go ahead and get on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
It's 2 years ago, isn't it? Yeah, we're in the past. It's one of the people in the YouTube comments that keep trying to tell me that the Cyclops was a giant microwave. Don't remember asking, but thanks, I guess. Eileen can never. Whatever the fuck happened to her. I mean, he's not wrong. Remember, same director. Well, if you're fighting, like, complete racism, then yeah.
Yeah.
What has Rome done for us lately?
Yeah.
Break the world. Not where I thought Carpenter was. I thought it was more East Australia.
Persian go.
So implying that the fight wasn't even at Suez.
Yeah. Oh no, this fight wasn't at Suez. They hadn't reached Suez yet. just an island in the Indian Ocean.
Well, no, it's in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening now, and that's where the arrow got to. Hit him again. Hit him again. Thank you.
戦争はヒーローごっこじゃない。自分だけで勝手な判断をするな。力を持つ者ならその力を自覚しろ。
See? Shin, as much as I love Shin, he was in the wrong there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how things shake out. I think we're going to see more of the Durandal in this
Nope,
episode.
we're ending the show now. We're never going to see how things shake out. That's it. He was wrong. End of story. Turn
I
it
wonder
off.
why the. I wonder how they're gonna make the whole Shin Stella thing work, because they've been hinting at it, but I don't see how
every
they're gonna
opening.
get together.
Literally, they've been
Yeah.
naked in the openings already.
Yeah.
Haven't been on screen since they stole the Gundams. Like,
No,
same
they had a
episode
fight.
that he groped her.
No, well, they haven't. They did have a fight, but in the Indian Ocean, but that was it.
Barely. I mean,
That's why he got
technically, we
that-
found out that she's also Jesus because she's able to walk on water.
I mean, in shallow water, maybe.
I mean, technically, the feet were still on top of the water, and that
Yeah.
was a ways away from the ground that we see going under the water.
Yeah. I looked at Kagali and Athlon shouting at each other.
No, that was
Yeah.
Stella and Shin.
Mm.
As much as Kigali should be.
Mm.
Well, I'm not Atherin, Kira. Still find it weird that they call them Sakus. That was unnecessary.
The soldier's life.
Must be Char listening in on a spy post. This is where he went.
このデモによる死傷者の数はすでに1000人に上り、赤道連合政府は
18日の大西洋連邦大統領の発言を受けて昨日南アフリカ共同体のガドワ議長は
この声明に対し
毎日毎日気のめいるようなニュースばかりだね。
フラントはあくまでも
ユーラシア西側地域では なんかこう
Stop changing the channel. I want to know what the end of one news thing said.
水族館で白イルカが赤ちゃんを産んだとかそういう話。
いや、そこまでは言わんが。
しかし何か変な感じだな。プラントとの戦闘の方はどうなっているんだ。入ってくるのは連合の混乱のニュースばかりじゃないか。
And yeah, good
プ
point.
ラントはプラントでずっとこんな調子ですしね。
I don't remember doing that.
We were shouting.
I said better than Cheryl.
I don't know. She seems to be very Genki there, but
I don't even know what you mean by that.
very hyper, basically.
So?
That doesn't seem like. Well, I only saw the movies. I didn't see any performances by Lacus being that agitated.
It's cute. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if
it
you're,
is.
you're talking down about it.
No, I'm not saying it's down. It's just like the tone. I guess they were happy. Oh, we should see something happy, and here's something happy happening.
I married the
I guess
wrong
they do-
girl.
I guess they're like, oh yeah, we know that Durando made a fake of
She's better
Lacus.
than Minmay.
Yeah, with extra
Two
you know,
important ways.
皆さん
Yeah.
元気で楽しそうですわ。
これもいいのか。
See, she's jealous.
このままにしておいて。
Yeah, a little bit.
それは
I never got crowds like that.
したいけどね。だが下手に動けばこちらの居所が知れるだけだ。そいつは現状あまりうまくないだろう。かくまってくれているスカンジナビア王国に対しても。
See, what
they're
I just
taking
what did I just fucking mention?
だがいつまでもこうして潜ってばかりはいられないだろう。オーブのことだって私は。
でも
Which you prevented me from doing when you fucking kidnapped me.
何もわからないんだ。
そうね。
ユニウス7の落下は確かに
Well, she could use a couple more dance
被害を
moves.
与えたけど
Yeah.
その後の
I have no idea what
Limit
Marius
up.
is saying. I'm looking at the top of the screen.
難癖のように開戦した連合国がバカよ。
あ
ブルーコスモスだろ。
まあね。
Yeah.
デュランダル議長はあの信じられない第一波攻撃の後もバカな応酬はせず、市民から議会からみんななだめて最小限の防衛戦を行っただけ。どう見ても
Yeah, that smile of his.
He just smiles a lot, man. Let it go.
No, no, it's not a. No, I don't buy it.
デュランダル議長は
I don't.
というか
That is a previous scene of people holding up signs about the war.
Oh, I thought he
ナチスの暗
was.
殺とこの件を知るまではアスランだってそう思ったからこそプラントへ行くと言い出したんだし。
じゃあ誰がラクスを殺そうとした？そしてこれじゃあ僕には信じられない。そのデ
Yeah.
ュランダルって人は
キラ
みんなを騙してる。
それが政治といえば政治なのかもしれんがね。
知らないはずはない
Maybe
で
so.
しょうしね。これ
Of course he does.
何を考えてるのかな議長は。
なんだかユーラシア西側のような状況を見てるとどうしてもザフトに味方して地球
course.
軍を撃ちたくなっちゃうけど。
Yeah.
お前はまだ反対なんだろう。それには。
ええ。
What are you guys gonna do with your coffee when you're getting back into space?
アスランが戻ればプラントのことももう少し何かわかると思うんだが。
Turns out it's quantumly entangled. Everyone can hear
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
何やっているの
For
か
those of you who don't know, I'm just combining two different shows together.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
We really didn't have
He
time
said-
to plan these scenes. We really need as much flashbacks as we can get.
Yeah. Also, I think Arthur is Kira is worried that he might have to fight again against Arthur.
誘導ビーコン捕捉しました。
ビーコン固定入港準備。
ビーコン固定入港準備開始します。
Another South base, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the Gibraltar base because they just said it was the Mahali or something base. What?
Brainstem?
What the fuck is that?
帯域を変えてみた。
Control system, perhaps?
Never heard of it before.
でもいいよな軍本部のやつら。ラクスクラインのライブなんてほんと久しぶりだもん。俺も生で見たかった。
けど
The thing is that
歌の感じ変わった
How
よ
do
な
they explain the fact that... Nah, never mind. Lycus was on the right side of the war. Never mind.
前々から今みたいな方がいいんじゃないかと思ってんだけどさ。
the thing is that Arthur knows that that's a fake Lacus and hasn't said anything.
それに今度衣装もなんかバリ
Of
バリ。
course not.
そうそう。
Why would he?
そしたらさ胸結
That
構
would blow everything.
Oh wow! Yeah, they're
俺絶対欲しい。セイバーの整備ログは？
あとこれです。
what I've been saying that they're emphasizing her figure, right? That suit really is. She's wearing a body one piece bikini.
Well, she's
basically.
also more
But up
endowed
there.
than actual Lycus is.
Apparently.
I mean, she is. You can see that.
Yeah.
The two characters are on
Yeah.
screen side by side.
Yeah.
さっきのも全部。
すいません。
Yeah, she's worried about where his mind is at. Mahamud base South Force as well.
コントロール BB01 了解。
This might be just a lot of docking and talking, basically.
All the shippers been hoping for it.
Yeah. No floating this time.
言いたいことがあるんなら言えば。ガキっぽすぎるよそんなの。
Don't look so happy.
ミネルヴァ艦長タリア・グラディスです。
副長のアーサー・トラインであります。特務隊アスラン・ザラです。
アスラン・ザラ。
Oh.
いや、失礼した。
Sorry, someone in the back of the Ruler Crest team? So yeah, my boy is getting remembered.
Yeah, well, I mean, his father was the leader of the
No,
Plants.
yeah, but they didn't say of Patrick's Hall of Fame. They said of the Ruler Crest team.
Yeah.
Rouse team. They're remembering him for being on Rouse team.
いきなり出戻ってきてフェイスだ上官だって言われたってそりゃねおまけに2度も叩かれて
Was she listening on that conversation?
I don't know. Seems she's gonna walk out into the hallway in a minute.
Yeah.
分かってるよ。もううるさいなルナは。
何が分かってんのよそれで。
いいからもう
Is he jealous?
ルナには関係ない
Of
だろ。
what?
Of Luna?
She's talking about following his commands and everything. I don't know what you'd be jealous about. That has nothing to do with this conversation.
Gotta look cute for the war.
She was also buying some weird cream back when they were at the shop before. So I'm wondering if something is wrong with her, maybe.
I'm not gonna say. This is something that popped in my head, and I'm not gonna go.
Worked so well last time. Oh wait, it didn't actually.
こちらに領土的野心はないと言っている以上、それはできないってことかしらね。
いたずらに戦果を拡大させまいとする今の最高評議会と議長の方針を私は支持していますが、だがこちらがおとなしいのをいいことにやりたい放題もまた困る。
というと、何かあるということ？スエズの他に。
地球軍は本来ならばこのスエズを拠点に一気にこのマハムールと地中海の先我らのジブラルタル基地を叩きたいはずです。だが今はそれが思うようにできない。
Still more bases than I thought Zaft had on Earth.
理由はここです。
ユーラシア西側地域か。
ええ、インド洋そしてジブラルタルがほぼこちらの勢力圏である現在、この大陸からスエズまでの地域の安定は地球軍にとっては絶対です。でなきゃ孤立しますからね、スエズが。なので連中はこの山あいガルナ藩の火力プラントを中心にかなり強引に一大共闘法を築き、ユーラシアの抵抗運動にも睨みを利かせてかろうじてこのスエズまでのラインの確保を図っています。
Wait, that's push us closer back to where the Sahib and group were before. Though Sahib were anti-Zaft, so might not be on our side this time around. Also, how did you turn our coffee mugs green?
I mean, they're overall. I guess they would be. It's like putting a green light over them. I guess that's why they look green.
Again, Arthur is a comedy character. You might not know if you didn't listen to the English.
となればそう簡単にはやらせてはくれないさ。こちらからアプローチできるのは唯一この渓谷だが、当然向こうもそれを見越していてね。ここに陽電子砲を設置し、
What are they, a Zerg?
リフレクターを装備した化け物のようなモビルアーマーまで配置している。
So when did they get Boosies? Those are Zaft.
Oh, chill technology again.
Spiderweb force field.
Yeah.
Also, I guess a new mobile armor that we've never seen before. Reach for the sky.
あの時みたいな。
Love it when I say that we've never seen before, and Arthur is like the one before. Fuck.
そこを突破しない限り、私たちはすんなりジブラルタルへも行けないし。
Up into space and then back down again.
まあ、そういうことです。
Or that, I guess.
私たちにそんな道作りをさせようだなんて、一体どこのタヌキが考えた作戦かしらね。 まあいいわ。こっちもそれが仕事といえば仕事なんだし。
Oh, they're acting independently. Oh, we're not gonna attack, but hey, these faith people, well, they did their own thing.
我々もミネルヴァと共に今度こそ道を開きたいですよ。
He's having second thoughts.
じゃあシンテがあれから全然ザラ隊長と口利
In
かない
case you were wondering.
Yeah.
本当にしょうがないわよね。シンテは全然子供なんだもん。だよね。悪いけど私から見てもそう思うもん。まあそのうちなんとかなるとは思うけど、どうせシンの負けで。だよね。ザラ隊長の方が全然大人でかっこいい。あれ？でも私と一つしか。
So
Okay.
you're comparing yourself against her sister.
あの人って。
But she's the thinner one, though, right?
You'd think so, but remember that previous scene we got where she was literally testing her proportions.
Yeah.
Not just this one, but I mean the previous one where I was talking about the creams that she was using.
一人でこんなところで。
I don't know, if you want to put it into other terms, we'll think about sleepaway camp.
あなたこそいいんですか？いろいろ忙しいんでしょ、フェイスは。こんなところでサボっていてよろしいんでありますか？
本当に突っかかるような言い方しかできないやつだな、君は。そんなに気に入らないか？俺が戻ったことも、君を殴ったことも。
別にどうってことありませんけどね。
Oh, you just slapped me twice.
なんか言いませんよ。当たり前でしょ。
Well, I mean, you will. And they'll pay good money for it, too.
朝の声なんてやってた人がいきなり戻ってきてフェイスだ上官だって言われたって、それではいそうですかって従えるもんか。
Well, you can, though, because you're a soldier.
あなたは。
Oh, that's right, that's the name of the episode.
それはそうだろうな。認めるよ。確かに君から見れば俺のやっていることなんかはめちゃくちゃだろう。だからだと言いたいのか？だから俺の言うことなど聞けない、気に食わないと、そういうことか？
いや、
自分だけは正しくて自分が気に入らない、認められないものは。
Wow, he sounds like you. Or your argument of defense of him.
Yeah.
あのインド洋での戦闘のことは今でもまだあれは間違いじゃなかったと思っているのか？
はい。
オーブのおのごろで家族を亡くしたと言ったな、君は。
殺されたって言ったんです、朝に。
ああ、そう思っていたければそれでもいいさ。だが、だから君は考えたっていうわけか？あの時力があったなら、力を手に入れさえすればと。
なんでそんなこと言うんです？
And he's reading him like filth.
泣いたことのある者は誰でもそう思うさ。多分。
So did you say he's reading him like filth?
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
That he knows exactly where he's coming from. It's like.
I think people would say he's reading him like a book. Like filth?
Yeah.
自分が誰かを泣かせるものとなる。それだけは忘れるなよ。
Oh, the message of seed.
俺たちはやがてまたすぐ戦場に出る。その時にそれを忘れて、勝手な理屈と正義でただ闇雲に力を振るえば、それはただの破壊者だ。そう
Oh,
じゃ
he
ないんだ
has been.
君は。俺たちは軍としての任務で出るんだ。喧嘩に行くわけじゃない。
そんなこと
Oh, literally, you're actually here to pick a fight.
ならいいさ。それを忘れさえしなければ、確かに君は優秀なパイロットだ。でなけりゃ、ただのバカだがな。
Yeah.
I mean, I think he needed that.
Sure.
Now, will he accept it, though?
Depends on where the narrative wants to take us.
Yeah, that's true for every story. But thank you for your input.
I'm saying that they put this confrontation between the two of them, but then the show might decide, no, he's actually right and Arthur is wrong, right? Even though it makes sense, what Arthur is saying makes sense.
Guy outside disagrees with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I hope they don't, because that would like remove the importance of that whole conversation.
I guess so. It's interesting. Wait, does that have the blades? So how do you? I guess you run past an enemy and you cut him. Never mind.
Have you forgotten how Nicole died?
No, but Gaia, in its wolf animal form.
Have you forgotten a Waltfield's mobile suit?
Yeah, but it had it on the sort of the teeth thing.
Yeah.
So.
Have you forgotten Astray?
敵モビルアーマー。対局から見ればそれはもしかしたら些細な状況が、そこにも生きる人々と願いがある。必死の少女の訴えに神話。次回機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー。ローエングリー 闇の迷路駆け抜けろフォースブレンダー。
Lohengrin. So Stella is there?
Maybe. I didn't
see her either, but they said how was Shin reacted to the cries of a desperate young girl, and we haven't seen Stella and him together yet.
Yeah. And she certainly is a desperate young girl, so...
How many episodes are we going to get to before they meet each other? Considering they're in every opening and ending together.
Yeah. Could be a bait and switch, though. Like
sure,
but
they
were going to get together.
You're throwing that out constantly.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen because of what we've seen. But at the same time, I wouldn't put past the writers go like, you thought they were going to get together. In fact, something else going to happen.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, you keep throwing up the narrator could do a bait and switch every time.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like a really important conversation. Yes, unless they do a bait and switch, and it turns out Shiden was right. You're like that guy from Mystery Men who just repeats everything backwards and then repetitively.
Remember how, oh my God, I blanked out on his name. Your co-host, when you're watching the first episode, Justin, would always use the line.
Literally the first time I watched this was with Griffin, so.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Justin here. Trauma, what was it?
Bonding.
Trauma bonding? Well, that's my phrase.
For what? I mean, you took so long remembering what it was. I don't remember what we're talking about anymore.
I was talking about the bait and switch being my phrase for this series.
Sure. I don't know. There's something disingenuous. Not disingenuous. There's something anticlimactic about just guessing everything is going to be a bait and switch. So that you're wrong 90% of the time, I guess.
Or you're right.
Yeah, but then you're right 10% of the time. If my 90% of the time thing is right, but then we're not excited about it because you just guessed everything was. Instead of guessing 5 times at random and then getting right once.
I'm hedging my bets.
There's a thing in Magic Knight Rayearth, one of the shows I'm watching by myself. At the end of the episode, there's a wheel, and there's 5 points on the wheel, and they do a spin thing, and it's for you to guess which character it's going to get spun to. It's nothing to do with anything, really. Or if it does, that might be why I've guessed 5 right out of 40 episodes. So, but yeah. I'm going to guess Umi. Not Umi. I'm always wrong. I think there's a percentage chance I should have been right more often than I have been.
Who's that Pokemon? Yeah.
I mean, sort of, in that there's no way to tell. 3 of the gems are literally the 3 main characters. And then the 5th gem... Sorry. No, there's 4 gems. Literally, I have a 1 in 4 chance, and I've been right 5 times out of 40. So, that's what I'm saying. Odds are...
Yeah.
The 4th gem is sometimes different characters. It's supposed to be the one, little... I don't know what to call it.
Random.
No, it's like a little creature thing that's with them. But then sometimes it's like one time it's been Pressia, a random other person, and then other times it's been like little fairy creature that goes around with like Atlantis. So I don't know. I have just been wrong way, way more than logic says that I should be. So when I get it right, it's fucking amazing because it's once in a blue moon. But I'm not like saying it's always going to be Hikaru and that's just going to be it. And then when it is Hikaru, it's like, told you. I knew it. Because that wouldn't be satisfying, right? So you're saying it's a bait and switch. It's always going to be a bait and switch. And then 17 episodes down the road where they bait and switch us, it's not going to be, oh my god, it's so fucking amazing. I can't believe you called it. It's going to be like, well, I guess you're right twice a day.
Yeah, well.
Just saying.
That's why. Yeah, you're saying.
It's trauma bonding, at least is situational. Trauma bonding is like two characters and they come together. It's like, I wonder what the relationship between these two is. And then you can make the joke, oh, they trauma bonded.
I mean, if we're going to talk about trauma bonding, it did happen in this episode, sort of, between Athrun and Shin.
I don't think so.
I mean, Athrun doesn't point out any specific trauma that he's recalling, but he's talking from a position of authority, like, yeah, I know what you go through, right? You think you're the only one who go through this, but that's a subtext. I
mean, he's reading Shin. Yeah. Like, Shin is saying, like, he's talking about when Shin's family died, and he's like, oh, you're blaming the fight at this location for that. And he's like, all I said was that the Athas killed my family. And he's like, yeah, but I know. So that's the idea there, is that he's reading him because he's experienced. I don't think Shin is bonding with him. Shin left, I mean, when Athrun left the episode, Shin is left there like, I don't know what Shin's gonna fucking do. It's not like, oh, I respect him even more now. There wasn't any bonding that I read in that moment. And they certainly didn't share their traumas.
Yeah.
So even if they did bond, it wasn't a trauma bonding.
Now, I did find the whole, because they're both Hawk, right? That's the last name. Luna Maria's little sister thing, where she's constantly sort of patting her belly and she can't fit the dress. What's going on there?
Well, I did talk about creams. Mayrin is her name.
Mayrin, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a teenage girl. What do you want from me?
I don't know. Could be it. Yeah, I have a wild idea. Which
she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's what.
Is that your wild idea?
Yeah.
Wonder how you came up with that. Whose baby is it?
Exactly.
Who's that Pokemon?
I'm gonna stop right there because, yeah, the jokes will just keep rolling. Anyway, yeah, that was the episode. That's all I have to say about this one.
All right. Well, with that being that, then once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?